Secret dream activation switch to use when your goals only ever live in your head. Be careful with this video. Once you see the pattern that's been quietly keeping your book half-written, your ideas unsent, and your projects almost ready, you won't be able to hide behind perfection anymore. Watch it till the end if you're ready for long-held dreams to start showing up in your actual life, not just your imagination. You know the cycle. The manuscript that keeps reopening at chapter 3, but never makes it to chapter 4. The business idea that lives in your notes app with increasingly detailed plans, but never translates into a single conversation with a potential customer. The creative project you're genuinely excited about that somehow always gets pushed to next week when other priorities crowd in. The audition you research thoroughly but never actually attend. The portfolio you perfect endlessly but never send to anyone who might hire you. There's also the relationship pattern where you dream of deeper connection but somehow keep recreating the same surface-level dynamics. You meet someone promising, build excitement for 2 months, then watch it fade when vulnerability becomes necessary. Or the health intentions that start with genuine motivation, go strong for 3 days, then collapse the moment normal life resumes. The financial goals that feel so clear on January 1st, but somehow reset to, "I'll start next month," by February. Maybe you're the person who buys the expensive camera, the perfect planner, the premium software, thinking the right tools will finally bridge the gap between intention and action. Or perhaps you're the one who moves to a new city, convinced that environment alone will unlock the version of yourself who actually follows through. You might be the researcher who knows everything about your field, but never ships anything, because there's always one more article to read, one more skill to master before you're truly ready. The loops that keep dreams just out of reach. These aren't random setbacks or evidence that your dreams are impossible. They're loops, patterns so embedded in your daily routine that they feel like permanent features of your personality instead of learned responses to old fears about success, visibility, or claiming space in the world. Each season feels like the same story with different details. New opportunities, same hesitation. Different circumstances, identical internal conversation about timing and worthiness. It's like repainting a room while all the furniture stays in the same place. The surface looks fresh, but you're still navigating the same cramped space, still bumping into the same obstacles that keep you from moving freely toward what you actually want. You might switch approaches, invest in new courses, even change careers, but somehow you end up recreating similar outcomes because the underlying system didn't change. The reason surface changes don't create lasting progress is that they're not addressing what generates those outcomes. When someone trades one form of creative avoidance for another, when they replace one excuse with a more sophisticated version of the same delay, they've changed the strategy, but not the system. Your brain isn't sabotaging you when it defaults back to familiar patterns. It's doing what brains do: conserve energy and stick to routes it knows. Every time you respond to creative opportunity in the same way, whether that's over-researching until momentum dies, padding the scope to avoid shipping, or saying yes to other people's urgent requests instead of your own important work, you're strengthening neural pathways that make those responses automatic. The perfectionism that prevents starting, the people-pleasing that leaves no time for your own projects, the analysis paralysis that turns simple ideas into complex overwhelm. These were strategies that kept you safe when taking up space felt dangerous. But strategies that outlive their context become invisible barriers to the very outcomes you're trying to create. The moment dreams shift from fantasy to reality. There's a moment that changes everything. It's when you catch yourself mid-pattern and realize you're watching it happen rather than just being swept along by it. Maybe you're about to open social media instead of the document you intended to work on, and suddenly you can see the avoidance clearly. Maybe you're adding another research phase to a project that's already ready to ship, and you pause, recognizing the delay tactic. That awareness isn't small or trivial. It's the first genuine break in the loop because for the first time, you're conscious enough to choose differently. Most people dismiss these moments because they feel so ordinary, so undramatic. But that microsecond of space between impulse and action is where dreams actually begin to shift from fantasy to reality. Here's what changes when you start seeing recurring patterns as information instead of permanent features of who you are. Instead of, "I'm just not a finisher," the question becomes, what was this pattern trying to protect me from? Every repeated outcome becomes data about what felt necessary earlier but might not be serving your dreams anymore. The loop isn't evidence that your dreams are unrealistic. It's feedback. It's your system's way of saying that the current approach has been outgrown and something new is ready to emerge. When that reframe settles in, you start noticing subtle signs that a different way of being is already developing. You sleep better one night and wake up with unusual clarity about the next small step. You place a simple boundary and it holds without the drama you expected. A creative idea lands with unusual completeness, feeling more like receiving than forcing. You write 2 pages that feel easier than usual. A conversation stays honest and helpful without you having to perform or manage the outcome. These aren't dramatic breakthroughs, but they share something important. They feel lighter to act on than the efforts you used to force. There's less resistance, less internal negotiation about whether you're ready or talented enough. How small alignments move big dreams forward. Watch what happens when these small alignments start compounding. You move your phone out of the bedroom and sleep better. Better sleep means you wake up with more energy and mental clarity. More clarity means you actually use the 25-minute focus block you've been planning to start for months. Using that block daily means real progress accumulates on work that matters to you. Progress on meaningful work builds confidence to share something small instead of waiting until it's perfect. You honor one boundary with a time drain and suddenly have an evening free to polish the pitch you've been avoiding. You tidy your workspace for 5 minutes each day and notice that starting work feels easier when everything has a place. Starting easier means you're more likely to begin, and beginning more often means projects actually reach completion. Each change feels manageable alone, but together they create momentum that carries you into entirely different territory. Dreams that used to feel overwhelming start feeling approachable when broken into daily actions. Work that used to drain you starts energizing you because it connects to what you actually care about creating. This momentum builds because alignment creates efficiency. When you're working with your natural creative rhythms instead of against them, everything requires less force. You're not constantly managing perfectionist anxiety or predicting what others will think. You're designing conditions where your best work can emerge and be seen. The backwards approach most people take to dreams. This is where most people have been approaching dreams backwards. They've been trying to control outcomes, manage every variable, predict and prevent every possible disappointment or rejection. They focus on perfect timing, viral moments, and getting everything lined up before they start. But what looks like dreams coming true is actually the natural result of aligned inputs meeting right-time opportunities. Instead of waiting for perfect inspiration, You become someone who creates momentum with consistent small actions. Instead of hoping external circumstances will align, you become someone who designs internal conditions that make progress feel natural. Instead of dreaming in abstract futures, you become someone who finishes small pieces in the present. Your brain has what neuroscientists call the reticular activating system, an attention filter that decides what information reaches conscious awareness. When you're considering buying a certain car, you suddenly see that model everywhere. The information was always there, but your attention wasn't tuned to receive it. When your creative priorities begin to shift, your attention filter shifts with it. You start noticing opportunities that were invisible when you were focused on what was missing or impossible. The chronic perfectionist starts seeing places where good enough actually gets work into the world. The chronic people pleaser starts recognizing when boundaries serve their dreams better than accommodation. Same environment, different perception. What changes when you step into the identity of someone who doesn't just dream, but designs conditions where dreams become likely and visible? Someone who doesn't just fantasize about outcomes, but creates systems that generate sustainable creative progress. You stop being someone dreams happen to, and start being someone who arranges for dreams to happen. Change the inputs. Let the dream find you working. When the filter shifts, open doors look obvious. Small alignments move big visions. Stop rehearsing the dream, start finishing the day. How this transformation unfolds in real life. This transformation often looks unremarkable from the outside, but feels profound from within. Someone retires a commitment that's been fragmenting their creative energy for months and suddenly has space to think clearly about what they actually want to build. They start sleeping better because they're not carrying the guilt of constantly saying yes to the wrong things. They set a simple 25-minute daily focus block and discover that consistency matters more than intensity. Small daily progress accumulates into completed projects faster than they expected. They send 2 messages they've been avoiding, one to apologize for a delayed response, another to share work with someone whose opinion they value. Both conversations lead to opportunities they weren't actively seeking, but turn out to be exactly what they needed. They ship a modest sample of their work instead of waiting for the perfect portfolio. The sample gets a positive response and a request for more. They accept a low-stakes creative invitation they would normally decline. At the event, they meet someone who appreciates their perspective and has resources that complement their vision. Within weeks, they're experiencing what looks like dreams starting to come true. A small commission that pays fairly, an introduction to someone in their field who becomes a helpful mentor, a creative opportunity that aligns with their actual interests. From the outside, it might look sudden or lucky. From the inside, it's the natural result of tuned attention and aligned daily action. You're not waiting for permission to step into this version of yourself. You're not waiting for ideal circumstances or perfect inspiration before you start building what you want to see in the world. The shift is happening right now, in the space between recognizing the old patterns and choosing something different. Every time you choose the 25-minute work session over endless research, every time you ship something small instead of perfecting something large, every time you honor creative boundaries that protect your energy, you're building the system that makes dreams visible. If you made it this far, you're already in the shift. The fact that these words resonate means your attention filter is already changing. Dreams starting to come true isn't some distant event waiting for perfect conditions. It's the natural expression of a creative system that's been quietly reorganizing around who you're becoming. It shows up as pages written consistently, conversations that lead somewhere, small payments for creative work, and a sense that your efforts are finally generating the outcomes you've been working toward. Keep tuning your attention. Keep making choices from creative possibility rather than creative fear. Keep designing daily inputs that support what you're trying to build. The system is already working with you. You just needed to remember how to work with it.